Hi everyone, I hope you're all doing well. So I'm going to be doing a game review for Cidal here. Um, I've done a few game reviews for him, and I was just checking out his elo for the past 90 days, and it looks like he's slowly grinding up. So that's good. This is a range that it's a little bit sticky. It's hard to get over it, but once you do, you just like shoot way up. And another cool thing I've noticed is he's playing a lot of different gods too. So even though he's playing a variety of different gods, not even his main god, he's still getting better and better. So this is a good sign. I think it's just a matter of time until he breaks the top 500. But let's go and check out the game that he sent me. He just sent me one yesterday, and I watched it already, like very, very quickly, and it's a very interesting game, a very long game too. I'm just gonna turn the sound off really quickly. All right, so here we go. We got um, I'm just gonna call him E, playing on the Fusi, and we got Saito playing the Urano. So I'm gonna watch the POV of both because this is a friend of Saito's and he wants me to give him some tips as well. Um, I'm gonna go through this game in a way that I would tell you what I would be doing, right? Because it's easy for me to just I think it's easier for me to explain to you if I tell you what I would be doing differently than you. The first thing I would be doing is the scouting method you're choosing. I've seen a lot of players do this, and I don't think it's necessarily bad, but I just don't think it's that effective because you're going to be able to scout the dark spots better, but you're not going to have a better overview of the your opponent's base in time. It's going to be too slow. Yes, you might get a little bit more favor. Yes, you might be able to, uncover little tiny spots that you might not otherwise have been able to, but it's just going to take too much time, and you need to get information about the map and information about your opponent as soon as you possibly can. Because, for example, let me just give you this is your second TC, but if you had a third TC that was exceptional, that can change your entire strategy right off the bat. Or if you scout your opponent has a really terrible gold mine, then right off the bat, you're going to change your strategy, right? So you want to get to his base ASAP, and you want to start seeing what are his weaknesses. And at the same time, you want to see what are your strengths. On the point of weaknesses and strengths, you also, before the game even starts, right, you need to understand the matchup. So this one is Fusi. Let me just pause the game. This one is Fusi versus Oranos. So right away, you know that Fusi is a late game powerhouse. It's very, very difficult to beat Fusi in the late. And Oranos is very good early game and mid game, right? So you want to try to win in the early mid, and you want to avoid the late game versus Fusi. The reason why Oranos is good in the early game, in the mid game, is because he gets very offensive god powers, right? You get Shockwave, you get Valor, and then you're gonna get Chaos most likely, right? Or even if you go for Thea, you generally get very, very offensive god powers. And these god powers you can impose on the map. The other benefit is you get sky passages. This is not something I would say it's good in the early game, allows you to get a lot of hunt and go out on the map, but this is exceptionally good in the mid game. And I'm going to show you a little bit how I would use this in the mid game. But you can see right now when I go back to the scouting, you weren't able to scout your opponent's base entirely, right? You can kind of surmise that maybe his gold mine is here or maybe it's here. But if you know that his gold mine is here and not here, your entire strategy changes, right? You would just go all in term of Promethean pressure because I feel like you're strong in the early game and you're strong in the mid game. You're not that strong in the late game. So you need to do early pressure. You need to try to win as soon as you possibly can, right? Um, I'm not really sure about this sky passage either. I feel like you could have been even greedier, right? You can go all the way up to here, take the rhinos and stuff with this fill, and then you can kind of go around and fight in different spots. So, okay, so right now you're pressuring here, and I don't think this is the right spot to pressure. It's this one little black spot right here, which had your opponent's gold mine, was the main reason why it changed the entire landscape of this match because you don't know that you need to attack here now. Imagine your army came around here and sat right here. You take out the temple, you take out all the wood villagers, the gold villagers, and you just wreak a ton of havoc, right? Your opponent is being very greedy here on the map, and he's doing it because he has Vanish, right? So he can run away if he needs to, but he's being exceptionally greedy, and I don't think this is the right move. You might get away with it here and there, but um, a lot of the times it's not the right move. Uh, so here your opponent's transitioning to the second town center. Now, the second town center is generally it has its pros and cons. The pros is he's going to get two rhinoceros sources right off the bat. He's going to have three gold mines that are secured behind this town center, and it has that potential right there, of securing a lot of the map. However, the other thing is now he's opening himself up to two fronts. Let's say that you get a sky passage here, and you sneak a villager in with some units and you put a sky passage here. Now you can contain him on two different sides, right? Sky passages have a lot of strategy that you can implement. You just have to know where and when to use them, right? Here, instead of, I think, going for all out pressure, after you sell the second town center, I think you can go for all out pressure and just win the game here, right? Another strategy that a lot of players don't use is if your opponent has a second town center here on the left hand side and his production facilities are here on the right, you just sit in between, right? You sit in between and he can't reinforce both sides. He's gonna have a it's gonna be a pain for him to kind of um, consolidate his army. So you sit here, you pressure here, you do a little bit of pushing here. Your opponent's going to run his units here, and then when his opponent runs his units there, you come here and you pressure this a little bit more as well. So sit in the middle right here between his two bases. It's a really good strategy. A lot of people don't use it as often as they should, but it has a lot of benefits. Great attack here. Your opponent was completely out of position. Now, a tip I can give you as a Fusi player, right? If you're on two TCs and you know your opponents probably took the second TC a little bit later than you, then you know you have an economic advantage. You don't need to move out of the map. You just need to sit here. Just put up some walls, put up a wall here definitely, and just sit here and wait until the late game. You know you're a late game civilization. There's no need for you to be pushing out on the map, right? This is a very interesting third town center, but now you see the more the more of an economic route you take, the more you're taking this into the late game. It's probably better for you to kind of try to end this early because you're not going to be able to win in the late game. Fusi has an insanely strong army. I mean, you could still win with sky passages, but overall, I would say I'd give the advantage to Fusi in the late game. You definitely need a sky passage here, right here, and you need one all the way on the other side, which you're doing. Very good job. Now you can keep on playing both sides, and it's very hard for him to react, right? So now he reacted here. You should have popped your units out here and started attacking all of this. When he comes here, you pop your units back here, and then you go and attack this, and you do that over and over again. Rinse and repeat. Like just keep on doing that. That's how sky passages are used to their best ability. All right, so overall you have a good economy going. Very big mistake that both of you guys did this game was you put farms on your front TC. Few farms are okay, and I do that as well. But like this Cidal, this is too many, right? Because your farms cost 200 wood, or sorry, 150 wood. So you have 7 farms. That's 1,000 resources on this TC. His wood costs what, 75. So it's okay for him to put like this. This is not terrible, but especially this is way too much, right? If you lose this town center, you're not only going to lose the town center, you're going to lose 1,000 resources of farms. So I would definitely put this over here. Don't put this on your front DC next time. um, okay, you need to make something happen. Once the game gets into the late game, I'm telling you, it just becomes terrible. Now I noticed that he's pressuring you on this side, right? There's no reason to lose this town center, especially when you have sky passages. Just you should have sky passages on the left side and the right side. Here, I guess you didn't have him ready, but just go into this one ASAP. Take all your villagers, build this as fast as you can, and save your town center, or just at least flank this army. This is a big army, right? This is an expensive unit, so you should have done that. Instead, I think you went for the counterattack. I don't think you don't need to do that, right? If some civs need to go for a counterattack, but you're Orano, so you get sky passages, you have no need for a counterattack. You go and defend your TC. He has to react. He has to send his entire army. Once he sends his whole army, then you go for the counterattack, right? Because then you're gonna get a free building kill, and you kill off an entire army here, or a portion of his army right there. So you get two benefits. He might be able to kill this TC, sure, but you get two for the price of one, whereas he only gets one, right? Now, these are good fortresses. I guess you're protecting your gold mine, but you want to inch a little bit closer. You want to use these aggressively too. A lot of people are using them too defensively right now. If you put this like right here, you can easily siege down this town center. Even with just these units alone, you have like I think 9 destroyers. Put the town center, put the palace closer to the town center, and you can just siege it down. This one is too defensive. Try to be a little bit more aggressive with your palaces. Oh, I like this vortex, but this is where it gets tough. Now you're in the late game scenario versus Fusi, and Fusi is just so difficult to beat in the late game. Now let me think about this. How would I deal with this, right? Well, first of all, you're gonna need a ton of Arcus here because your opponent has the dragon. The other thing I can recommend to the Fusi players: don't make too many Javelineers. It's a unit that's very micro intensive, and if you don't have, I mean, I guess you can use them because they're low on gold and you have all these upgrades and stuff, but be careful with over making Javelineers. You have 22, so be careful because you have to micro them so much, right? Nice raid here. But you can see that you're falling behind now, and it's just normal. This Civ is such a strong. It's a force to be reckoned with in the late game, especially with the two heroes, right? I don't think you can take any too many direct engagements. This is where you start using sky passages. You have to play tricky. You can't fight this army head on, right? I would put a sky passage right here, take out this town center, and I would put one defensively. So if he goes to defend that town center, you come back and defend yourself, right? You also need a palace here. Um, a palace is just to buy time, and you can't really do much to stop this army. It's gonna take it down. They're just buying time while you can destroy parts of his base, right? I think you still have enough for a vortex right now, but I don't know how you're gonna deal with this army right here. It's just gonna be a terrible time. You can't fight it head on. I mean, you could, but it's not a good situation for you. And you have a lot of siege in your army too. You need to go and try to you need to be schemy here. You need to be very tricky. But yeah, it's not going to work if you just try to fight his army head on. Now he didn't have that much food, and looks like he didn't have that much gold either. Whereas you have a lot more income coming in. So that's why I'm saying like you have to fight from the sides because you have the resources to make your army a couple times. All you have to do is kind of kill off his buildings and kill off his economy and stuff. And this is a good fight from you. I mean, if he fights, you're going to lose. So I'm surprised he retreated there. Your opponent, I guess, in reality just needs to wait and buy time, whereas you need to make something happen, right? He's also probably waiting because in a little while he's going to switch to Yang, which is going to be 10% extra damage on his units, so he doesn't need to really push right now. That's smart of him if he's actually waiting for this to turn to Yang. I guess not, but that would be a good strategy. So lots of Arcus here, so maybe the Javelineers can do a little bit of work, because you won't have to micro them that much if you don't have a front line. It's only when you have a front line then the Javelineers kind of lose their ability. Oh, he used Vanish. If he uses Vanish, walks right into the middle of your army and just A moves, I think you die. Even this, I don't think it's as good for you, right? Because the Javelineers are going to just have a field day on all your Arcus, which they did. At that point, you should just garrisoned all of your villagers in the Sky Passage, and then, well, this is a good cleanup right here. I mean, it's okay, I guess. He's not even making John Wick, right? I don't see Jiang Wang anywhere. If he added that in, it would be even more trickier. Oh, sorry, this is not Fusi. This is Shenong, right? Still, though, it's... No, it has to be Fusi. There's Nezha on the field. So why is he not making... why is he not making John Wick? I don't see any John Wick anywhere. Am I blind? John Wick is like a win condition. It's like a Titan. You should be making that ace over and over and over again as soon as he dies. See, like Cidal, you can't push through the front. You're just gonna lose your whole army. You have to. I said it a few times, but you have to put a sky passage on both sides. Keep rotating your army, and you have to build palaces right here, like one or two palaces to buy time, because he won't be able to. If you keep attacking the sides, he won't be able to respond in time. He's just gonna get frustrated, and he's gonna push down the middle. And when he pushes down the middle, then the fortresses and the towers are gonna buy you time. Now they're actually useful, so they can buy you a significant amount of time. Now you're still gonna lose your main base, but you would have time to respond, right? So here, if you had a palace and a couple towers, you would have been able to hold this, I think. No problem. I don't think there's any army that can actually beat this right now. I'm thinking about it from Oranos's point of view, right? You go for, I guess you get better Arcus with the +1 range and a little bit more damage. You should be using maybe a little bit more the Centimanus. Centimanus is really good. The problem is he can just clone it, so that's why you don't want to use too many myth units. Um, and you went for chaos too, so that's the other issue, right? You don't have dryads here, so your army is kind of weak. You don't have dryads, and you went for this as well, so you don't really have the stronger Murmillo. So there's a lot of things here that you just don't have the firepower to deal with a Fusi late game army, right? He went for this is a great technology, by the way, reincarnation. And then he went for, I think he went for this, which is going to give him scorching feathers and rock solid. And then he went for this, which is going to give him insane infantry. So there's no way to beat this army that he has right now. He went for the late game, whereas you went for the mid early game. So that's why it feels so tough for you to deal with this. But you just have to kind of react. You have to know ahead of time that you're not going to win in the late game, and you have to try to win in the early game. That's all there is to it, right? And you should also have been making more fanatics, right? Just palace spam with tons and tons of fanatics. Look how much resources you have right now, right? He's not making that many fire archers, I don't think so. And he's just making mostly javelineers. So I think you can actually still win this game. You just need a palace spam. You have so much resources, right? And you needed a nice wall right here. Like a wall here or a couple other places. And you should have spammed like nothing but fanatics. Then he's gonna add. Then when he adds like fire archers, then you can start switching it up a little bit with cavalry and arcus yourself. Um, but as of right now, I don't think you should be making too many Cantarius. All right, so I guess this is a little tricky because a lot of the game comes down to one simple thing, right? Or two or three main things dictated this game. The first thing was you didn't scout this gold mine, and the fact that you didn't scout it, you were pressuring the wrong side. You kept on pressuring here, which doesn't add any value to your gameplay. You should have been pressuring here. The next thing that happened was he took a town center. So now you can respond to a town center with a town center of your own, but versus civilization that has a better late game than you probably want to respond with aggression rather than go for an economic route yourself. But all things considered, let's say you do take a second town center, I would stop at that second town center. Rushing this third town center, I don't think has much merit. You need to win in the mid game, in the heroic age, before he gets to the mythic age. So you would want to like maybe go two town center heroic, have a bigger army with chaos and a shockwave. You take forward position. Once you take forward position, you throw down an offensive palace right here, and then you can start sieging his base. Alternatively, you don't take a second town center. You skip this. You put a sky passage here, a sky passage here, and you make him run around, right? Here to here, here to here, until he gets frustrated, and then you win a decisive battle and you kill his town center. Now that's a little bit harder to do, but it's definitely possible. The other thing you should also be doing is, I mean, these things you can use them one by one. It doesn't have to all be at the same time. But if you know your opponent is going two bases and the bases are really split further apart, you can camp right in between his two bases. Now he can't reinforce his army. So one side will be much weaker than the other side, right? So that's the other thing. Lots of things you can do. Once it gets to the late game, if it does happen, which it did here, you cannot fight his army head on. Maybe if you have a ton of high quality units like Fanatics and Arcus to deal with his fire archers, you could. But you generally want to kind of fight on the sides. You're going to be trying to make him chase your army, so you want to be attacking here and then attacking here. You don't want to attack head on, and you need to have tons of palaces and fortifications all over the map to slow him down. You're never going to be able to stop him. Once he starts pushing, he's going to be able to take the territory. You want to slow him down, and you had the resources a lot of the game to put a lot of palaces and towers down. So these are the things that I would do, just from a general gameplay, like just general strategy overall. I think this was a fun game to watch. I think you guys played well. I saw you getting a Titan at the end. Maybe if you had this a little bit sooner, it would have helped. Don't forget your upgrades. You got only plow here. You should definitely get all of the food upgrades. It makes a big difference. Um, your opponent had most of his armory upgrades, and you had all of them too. So I think overall, this just came down to Fusi being stronger in the late game, and then you positioned yourself to play the late game, right? Um, I hope I hope this was a good learning opportunity for you. Let me know if you have any questions. You know where to message me, and I will see you guys in the next video. Thank you. Bye. Oops.